Hello, this is Shanker, and today I'm going to talk about a very important planet, Mercury. Mercury, people have said and claim and keep on saying it's not important. It's very near to Sun, and Mercury gives the result of the planet it is with. This is wrong. Three planets are very important for me are Sun, Moon, and Mercury. Sun is the soul, Moon is your emotions, and Mercury is your intellect. And if your intellect is not good, if the person who's sorting out your emotions doesn't know how to sort it out, cannot come to a decision, you cannot rise, you cannot come up in life. So Mercury is a very important planet. My research says that Mercury is related to Rahu. Mercury gets all its work done through Rahu. Rahu is the agent of Mercury. So Mercury is like a small Rahu. I mean, if you have to see what Rahu can deliver, you have to see the strength of Mercury. Now, what does Mercury signify? Mercury signifies your intellect. Mercury signifies anything which has to do with waves, with communication. Mercury signifies teaching. Mercury signifies big grounds. Mercury signifies your nervous system. So all these things are actually also signified by Rahu. Rahu signifies what? Rahu signifies big things, thinking out of the box, spectrum, your energy levels, your media, your communication, to look what you're not. That is what the whole world is all about. We keep on doing new things, making new things to either simplify things or complicate things. That's your viewpoint, but that's what we all keep on doing, and in the universe this keeps on happening. How to find things, how to discover things which are good. I mean, 30 years back, 40 years back, we didn't know what a mobile was. Today there is mobile, social media, communication, etc., etc., and we are going ahead with this. The main planet which governs this is Rahu and Mercury. Rahu and Mercury have a relationship with each other. How powerful your Mercury is, there the Rahu will give its results. The Rahu is an agent of Mercury. So if you have to look at the potential of Rahu, which is the karmic planet, which is the giver, which expands, which thinks big, and everything opposite, you have to see the power of Mercury. How Mercury is placed in your horoscope. That's my view of Mercury. Please try this out, and you would see I'm correct. Mercury signifies, also is said to be a planet. It is called a eunuch. A eunuch doesn't mean anything. It just means that it can change. It has got both the male and the female energies. Now, anybody who has both the energies and both the emotions and can interplay with both the emotions is the billionaire of today, is the most powerful person of today. Now, both good people become very powerful people. Even a bad person may become a very powerful. Bad, good, ugly, we define it. But there could be a person who's running a big mafia, a big organization which has its own value system, which may not be aligned to your value system, is also big. So Mercury can place both ways. So anything which is very big and anything which needs intellect and which needs the use of various things, that is all use of various things with both the male and the female energies. Now, what is the male and female energy? I would like, Mercury is both signified by by Lord Vishnu and Mother Durga. Lord Vishnu is the preserver. Lord Vishnu is the avatar of Rama and Krishna also. So that is what Mercury also is. Mercury at one level is Lord Krishna, a person who people say was a great statesman, a person who people say was a big person who deceived, who did not follow the rules of the game, and also made the Mahabharata happen. He was a person who broke rules. It also signifies Ram, who made rules, who made society. So Mercury is both. It makes rules. When it feels the rules are not good, it also breaks the rules. It is Krishna. Krishna has a very a personality which is in our Hindu mythology, a person who was born in jail, who had a relationship with Radha, went ahead to become a king, and then made a war like Mahabharata happened, was a great statesman, a person who had his own method of doing things, but people also say that he broke rules, he was a deceiver, etc., etc. So you have to see, this is how Mercury plays. And Mercury is also said, it is also signified by Durga, and Durga is nothing but Maya, it is illusion. It is said that the king, one of the king, Lord named Kansa, was said that the ninth child of his sister would be the reason of his end. So when he went and crushed the ninth child, killed the ninth child, that was nothing but Devi, who came and told that the person who had to kill you is already born. So Krishna was nothing but, a dimension of Maya, a very small dimension of Maya in this world, who came in this world to correct the disorder which was happening in the name of rules, in the name of other things. That's my view. He came to, any rule which is followed, without looking at the present, the past, what is going to happen, you just keep on following the rules because the rules have to be followed, they start stinking. So he was a man who came to break the rules, and he told people that you need not follow rules blindly. I mean, people worshipped Indra blindly. He said, do not worship Indra blindly. Go to the Govardhan, the hill, which gives you grass, which gives you the herbs, and that will protect you. That is more important. He also broke a lot of rules during the Mahabharata war, which were said that, Pran jai par vachan na jai. I have given this, promise this to my mother or to my father or to somebody else, and whatever may happen, I have to do the most ugliest thing, but since I promised I will do it. That was dharma. He said that is not dharma. That could have been relevant at some point of time, but he told Bhishma, Pitama, who was a very learned man, that this rule which you followed is not the right rule. Break it. It had to be broken. So I did things which were not appropriate, but you were not needed on this planet. So that is what Mercury is. It is childlike. It can change very fast, and it is both. It has got both male and the female energies within it. That is what Mercury is. And that is what, and Mercury, this planet which is so powerful, executes its will through Ra. So there is a relationship between Mercury and Rahu. Some people have started saying that Mercury is like a Chota Rahu. It behaves like Rahu. No. Mercury is the planet which executes through Rahu. It executes orders through Rahu. And I've told you Mercury represents a large number of things. In the Kalpurush system, it represents the third house, the sixth house. Third house, as far as the life things are concerned, it is your brothers, sisters. Non-life things, everything to do with communication. This word of communication, computer and contact, three C's, the contact, computers and communication, make the world. So actually, it controls your entire system. It also controls the sixth house. It is exalted in sixth house. And sixth house, first and foremost, talks about day-to-day working, day-to-day decisions, day-to-day of doing things. And for that you need intellect. If your day-to-day decisions are okay, you're doing well, you do big in life. And most importantly, it governs your nervous system. That is the most important part in your life, the nerves, the blood flow in your nerves. That's very important. Blood is governed by Mars, but the nervous system, we are nothing. Our brain is nothing but nerves and electrons and the current. That is what Mercury represents, and that is what Rahu also represents. All electrons, protons, neutrons, and the interaction which is happening is all represented by Mercury or Rahu. These are the two planets which are interrelated, and they represent this. Our brain is nothing. Our brain is, one person has got a higher IQ, one person a lower IQ, one person is good in one thing, one person is good in one thing. It depends on what connections are being made inside the brain of yours. What, and they are nothing but this is electron, proton, neutron, and more. If you read quantum physics, it keeps on happening in your brain, which cannot be replicated by mankind himself at any point of time, which makes you what you are. So that is what Mercury is. Mercury gets debilitated in the 12th house. So when such a planet, which represents everything which is material, staying in this world, working, planning big, as I've told you, 12th house is the house for, on the one level, it represents hospitals, it represents graveyards, it represents death. So these are things which it represents, which is not akin to Mercury. I mean, Mercury doesn't, it's a planet which does not like to sit in a graveyard. It is not a planet which would not like to sit in a hospital, because that is not what I've explained to you. That is not what Mercury is all about. So obviously the planet will not feel good in sitting in a house where it is represented by these things. However, Mercury in the 12th, when with other planets, can make a different, can act differently. I'm talking about Mercury sitting alone. In the 12th house, it is debilitated, because it doesn't represent these things. On the other hand, Mercury here, the last nakshatra of Pisces is governed by Mercury, Revati, the last degrees, last. Why Mercury? Because this is the point planet which is about buddhi, and here your buddhi becomes Buddha. I mean, that when it is on the other hand, 12th house represents spirituality of the highest order, understanding your mind, body and intellect. So that is the other sphere of Mercury. So that is the positive part. Your buddhi becomes Buddha. And when your buddhi becomes Buddha, then you don't do anything, which is not akin to what we understand about Mercury. But it is important. That is the positive aspect of the 12th house. That is also represented by Mercury. I hope I could make myself clear. If you have queries on this, we can discuss on it, but I can't explain it on a YouTube channel. So Mercury is debilitated in the 12th house. And when it is debilitated, debilitation doesn't mean that it becomes negative. But yes, it becomes very negative for your sister, it becomes, it's not good for your daughter. Or for these life things I've seen, it is not good. And for non-life things, it makes a person who is intellectually perverted. He will do things like, which happens in this world. So I mean, don't think that debilitation is wrong. It happens in the world. Today's world, it is very important, where you scheme from the back, where you do strategy from the backside, you travel abroad, you do use computers, communication, cyber security, all these things then get governed by the 12th house. So in today's world, Desh Kal Patra, you have to see the Kali Yuga of today. Mercury in 12th house will make a person, depending upon the things, a strategist, a person who's working behind the back, a person who is using his intellect for doing things which is like, understanding things beyond the realm of what is understood by the brain. Like he may, try to understand how to reach the sun, how to go above that, those kinds of things. But it will be all strategy, planning, communication, etc., where he is not in the front but at the back end. That is what happens when Mercury is the 12th house, when it comes to non-life things. So Mercury as such, as a planet, is very important, and Mercury, when with other planets, it will give you results which are very good. Mercury, Rahu together will always make a person very rich. Will make a person with all its, when I say rich, today's, anything next to God is money today. So, it gives you all the potential and all the ways by which you can earn money. You will be a scientist, you'll have a good grasping, understanding things, and you'll be able to make good money. Mercury Rahu conjunction. As such, same is with Rahu. Rahu in the 12th house is not good. Because both these planets, let me explain you in another way. Rahu and Mercury, both these planets are not friendly to Jupiter. So what they do is, when they are sitting here, Rahu, whenever it's sitting here, it spoils Jupiter. Whenever you see Rahu in the 12th house of any horoscope, you will see there will be problems of what Jupiter gives. Jupiter gives you family, Jupiter gives you children, Jupiter gives you, how to deal with your elders. Portion of luck also is governed by Jupiter. Aspirations are not fulfilled, etc., etc. But Jupiter mostly makes you a person who is a wise man and governs, as far as I am concerned, is your family, your children, how you treat and respect your elders, and how you spend your money in good things. These are 4-5 very important things which Jupiter governs. And when astrology was written, these 4-5 things were very, very important. Both these planets, Mercury and Rahu, are anti-Jupiter. So whenever they sit in the 12th house, they spoil these aspects. And therefore, again, what I want to tell you is that this is the relationship of Mercury and Rahu. Even in the 12th house, when they both are sitting together or they are sitting individually, they spoil the aspects of Jupiter, especially the live aspects of Jupiter. So please understand, in astrology, nothing, your horoscope can never be bad. So, whenever Rahu is the 12th house, it will spoil your live things. Whenever Mercury is the 12th house, it will create problems for your sister, for your child, for your bua. Rahu, again, same thing. Family life may not be good, maybe gambling, so on and so forth. Children, respect to elders, the way you conduct yourself, the thought process to earn money. So these kinds of things, which may not be right, that is what it spoils. And that is done by both Mercury and Rahu in 12th house. So this is also a very important way by which I have concluded in a lot of horoscopes that whenever Mercury and Rahu in 12th house, even when they are not together, I mean individually, they will give the same results. So there is a relationship between Mercury and Rahu. And I repeat, therefore, Rahu is the agent of Mercury. So this is what I was trying to tell you. Try it out. Apply it in horoscopes and you would see that. And I've also told you about Mercury in a very in a way which is very brief. Actually, I can talk about 10-15 days on Mercury because it's the most important planet. It governs school, it governs intellect, it governs playground, it governs sports, large number of things Mercury governs. So it is an important planet. I'm telling you, when I've talked about Mercury, here I've talked about Mercury alone as a planet in 12th house, in 6th house, in 3rd house, and what happens, and what Mercury is, and what is the relationship between Mercury and Rahu. Rahu is the agent of Mercury. So you have to see Mercury and say how Rahu will behave. And Rahu is an expansive planet. It is the planet of Kali Yuga. So that is the giver. Rahu also takes commands from Saturn also. I will tell that someday in my video in a very different way, that how Saturn also gives his commands to Rahu and how Mercury also gives his commands to Rahu. And that is how Rahu then impacts you. And that is how you will see things. Briefly, Mercury in the 1st house is good, but will give you ups and downs in career. Just Mercury in 1st house. Mercury in 2nd house, one place, it is good, will you give good results for money and for most of the things. Mercury in 3rd house is a good Raj Yoga. Mercury in the 4th house is good for a lot of things, but it will spoil moon. It will, a person can have emotions which are different, and also the relationship with mother. Mercury in the 5th house, again, makes a person a very good intellectual brain, a very good person who can predict speculation. But it will, one thing when a person will have Mercury in 5th house will be that he will, there will be a school near the place where he stays. In 8 out of 10 horoscopes I've seen that. Mercury in the 6th house is not, though it's his own house, it is a place where it will not give you general, it spoils your general happiness. It may give you a lot of things. It makes you very successful, but it doesn't give you general happiness. You won't be a happy man within yourself because of various traits of Mercury. We'll discuss it sometimes later. Mercury in the 7th house mostly makes a person inclined towards doing business. Mercury in the 8th house, you should always be careful of your nervous system, and anything below your stomach, that is an area which gets affected. Mercury in 9th house is never good because that's also Jupiter, and Jupiter and Mercury are, enemies. There is a whole story of, of the animosity between Jupiter and Mercury, which I cannot go into. But Jupiter and Mercury are the worst of the enemies. So Mercury in 9th house is never good. Mercury in 10th house will always behave the way Saturn is. If the Saturn is powerful, Mercury will give good results. If Saturn is not powerful, Mercury will not give good results. Mercury in the 11th house will depend upon how your Jupiter and Saturn are placed in the horoscopes. So it has about 50-50% results of Jupiter and Saturn depending on how they are placed in the horoscope. Mercury in the 12th house, as I told you, will not let you have a good sleep. It can, if it is afflicted, it can give you prison. It can give you, it can also make you do the job in a hospital, or even land you at the hospital. And if it is aspected by good planets, etc. It can make you a very wise strategist, working and making billionaires, making millionaires, making prime ministers, doing science and research work in the field of astronomy, in the field of astrology, you know, unraveling things which have not been found, which have not been seen, and also would be a very important personality in the field of social media and communication. But it's not good for your. I'm sure I've seen it's never good for your daughter. It will never be good for your mother. It will not be good for your sister. So, you know, it is not good for these people. They'll have a little difficult life, but then their horoscope is also very important. Mercury in the fourth house, you have to just see, it should not be impacted by Jupiter in the 10th house. It spoils your relationship with mother or your general health and happiness of your mother. So then these are predictions, you know. You have to see conjunction, you have to see the planets which are impacting it. But Mercury and Jupiter don't have a very good relationship, and they always, whenever Mercury is aspected by Jupiter, it creates problem. Mercury in second house, I would add a caveat, is always good, but Saturn should not be there in the sixth house. If Mercury is in second house and Saturn is in sixth house, then Mercury does not, you know, function very well. So this is what briefly I've told you about Mercury from first to 12 houses. Mercury generally is good in the first to sixth house, first to six, for 1 to 7 it's good, with the caveat I've told you in sixth. And Moon, it should not be in conjunct or aspected by Jupiter. And from 8th to 12th, Mercury is not so good, and you have to keep on seeing the other planets how they are placed. Mercury in 9th definitely is not good. 10th, you have to see how Saturn is. 11th, you have to see how Jupiter and Saturn is. Mercury in the 12th house, you have to see which are the planets which are conjunct with Mercury, which are the planets which are 5th and 9th to Mercury, which are the planets which are 6th and 8th to Mercury. Whenever the next video when I make is, you have to see everything. You know, it's like astrology is like a chart, 360 degrees, and every degree is also divided in another 360 degrees. So we can't go to that details, but since it is based on latitude and longitude, and it is dependent on space and time, you should look at things very carefully. You should always see the planet which is ahead of Mercury, planet behind of any planet, planet 5th, 9th, 2nd, 3rd. You have to see all the planets with respect to one planet and then come to a conclusion about it. You have to move it. You have to move it. And you have to see what happens when it touches the other planets, what energizes what happens, what does not happen, and then come to a conclusion. That only 7th aspect is to be taken. No, that's not the way. You know, it has to be done. You have to see the planet second to it. You have to see the planet 12th. You have to see the planet 3rd. You have to see the planet ahead, and you have to see what the planets are 6th, 8th, etc., and then come to a conclusion of how the planet will behave. And there is no planet which gives only negative results. Mercury is represented by Tulsi, which is Vishnu. I told you that is one of the representations of Mercury, and Mercury also represents the roof of your house. So these are two representatives in Vastu. Mercury is the roof, and it represents Vishnu, so it represents Tulsi. And Mercury is also the goddess, the deity of Mercury is Ma Durga. And being the last year of Dashera, I thought I'll make this video on Mercury. It's already 30 minutes, a long video. If you like this video, please like it. I have now about, I don't know, I was just seeing about 75,000 subscribers. Please subscribe to my channel. I want to make it 1 lakh very fast. So help me in that also. And if you do that, I'll get encouraged and tell you more what I have learned in 40 years in astrology, my research, I must have seen lakhs of horoscopes, and that is what is important. Than, you know, the snapshot astrology we do. I also do, tell daily predictions and all, but that is not astrology. That is just fun and frolic. Astrology is very, very deep. There is a lot of missing link which has to be found out. My recent books, which are serious books on astrology, please do read them. They are to Sagar publication, and more recently, most of the books are to Prabhat publications, Daryaganj. So you should, if you want, you can read through them. My site is there, Shanker Study. If you are very worried, you have a problem which you want to. Astrology is not my profession. It's a hobby for the last 40 years. You can ask me. There's a website, AskShanker.com. Just open that, AskShanker.com, and you can put your details there and ask me a query there. So that is there on my site, shankerstudy.com. So you can go there, fill up the form, ask a question, send it to me, it'll come to me. I'll try to reply. With this, I end a millionth of what I know about Mercury as a planet. And since it's above 30 minutes, people can't hear 3 minutes today. So I would end this video. Thank you very much if you have listened and you come to this time. Thank you very much. Bye. Pranam.